So I've been using the Samsung Galaxy S10 for the past week and a little bit now since its release. I switched from the iPhone XS. I wanted to basically try Android again. For my long-time followers, you guys will know that I actually started on Android. I had a HTC Desire when Android was just up and coming. I had a HTC Desire. That's what got me into smartphones. That's what got me into tech. And yeah, it's nice to sort of just try Android again, try the latest Android that's available on a very premium device. Now, I went for the Prism Black Samsung Galaxy S10, not the S10e or the S10 Plus, the S10, mainly because I think it's the closest sort of size when it comes to the iPhone XS. I'm not really into massive phones. I don't have the biggest hands in the world. I'm into quite average size phones. Phones are just getting bigger and bigger. This has got 128 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is pretty insane. Thinking about how much storage and how much RAM a phone like this has now, I think back to computers like 10, 15 years ago. You'd be lucky to get half a gig of RAM. So yeah, it's crazy to see 8 gigs of RAM in basically what goes in your pocket. This has a 6.1 inch display with a resolution of 3040 by 1440, which is very, very high resolution. The S10 Plus actually has the same resolution, just a little bit bigger. But yeah, very high resolution, very sharp. Compared to the iPhone XS, which has a 5.8 inch display, that has a resolution of 2436 by 1125, which is actually quite a bit smaller than the Samsung Galaxy S10. However, when I use the phone side by side, I really can't tell the difference. I really can't pixel peep. There's just so many pixels on the screen that you can't really see the individual pixels anyway. So when it comes to sharpness, I don't actually see a difference between the two devices. I think they're just as sharp as each other. But I have found that the iPhone XS display is actually brighter, quite surprisingly. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting the Samsung display to be brighter, but the iPhone XS display is just a tad brighter, I found. Especially in daylight, I can definitely tell the difference. The Samsung Galaxy S10 weighs 157 grams compared to the iPhone XS, which weighs 177 grams. Now that's 20 grams of difference, which doesn't seem like much, but oh boy, it definitely is a big difference in the hand. I feel like the iPhone XS feels like a tank compared to the Samsung Galaxy S10. I actually prefer the lighter weight of the Samsung Galaxy S10. That 20 grams really does make a difference. I really like the design of the S10. I love the glass back, the glass front, and the sort of aluminium band that goes around it. And because this is Prism Black, it's a really nice sort of, I wouldn't say it's even black, I'd say it's more of like a very, very dark grey. And the aluminium band that goes round is very much sort of like a chromey grey. Very, very nice. I think it looks very classy. The white I've seen also looks great, and so does the pink one. But I personally just prefer black phones and black devices and things like that. So yeah, I think the Prism Black looks pretty awesome. It's incredibly well built, and the buttons on it are fantastic. Very clicky, very tactile buttons. And I love how the edges of the screen sort of just like fall off. Same with the back. It makes the phone feel thinner than you think, than you realise. Really nice touch. I just think it's an incredibly well built and well designed phone. One of the great things which I think Samsung has done with the design of the S10 is not have a notch. Instead, they have the hole punch in the top right. And I think this is a much better way of having a camera on the front of your phone without having to have a notch cut out. And I found from everyday use, I can't even tell that there is a hole in the top right of the screen. It doesn't even occur to me that there is a camera in the top right of the screen. I think Samsung have done an incredible job of this, and wrapping the display around that sort of hole punch, it just looks incredible. And I'm hoping other manufacturers come on board. I'm so glad they didn't copy Apple when it comes to the notch. So many other manufacturers are copying Apple when it comes to the notch, and I think Samsung have really done a fantastic job here of doing it their own way. Now, I want to focus on the good parts of the Galaxy S10, things that I think where it trumps the iPhone, where it trumps iOS, things that are worth mentioning. So for example, the slide out tray that comes from the edge of the screen, which you can do with a thumb swipe, is awesome. Being able to just quickly access apps, being able to do things like open 2 apps at the same time. The 2 apps at the same time is just incredible. I don't understand why iOS doesn't have this. I guess it's also because Android has more sort of adaptive apps, you could say. Android apps are designed to be adapted to so many different screen sizes. But yeah, I just think it's awesome. Being able to have, say, Twitter and YouTube open at the same time. Being able to see tweets and watch a YouTube video at the same time is just awesome. Customization is just on another level. I just think being able to customize your phone to the way you like, being able to customize things like the lock screen, being able to customize the home screen, being able to customize icons, things like that, really, really sets Android apart from iOS. And it's just a good way to add your own personality to your phone. iOS doesn't let you do any of that. You really do have to stick with what iOS offers out of the box. So doing things like having icon packs, being able to have icons which match each other, which have a similar style, it's just awesome. You know, you can see I've made my S10 quite minimal looking. I have the home screen and then I have some icons at the bottom, and when I open up the app drawer, most of the apps have custom icons, and I just feel like it looks much cleaner, much more minimal. You know, that's what I'm into. That's the sort of style I'm into. I also love how you can add widgets and stuff to your home screen. You know, being able to see information very quickly at a glance is super useful without having to open the app itself. So yeah, customization is just on another level. The always on lock screen is awesome. You know, it does take a little bit of battery, but it's not too much of an issue for me, because I think being able to see the time, being able to see my notifications at a glance without having to pick up the phone is awesome. The screen on the S10 is fantastic for media consumption. If you're someone who likes to watch videos, who likes to go through photos and things, you're going to love this phone. You know, the screen, which is nearly edge to edge, just looks awesome when watching videos on Netflix or YouTube or whatever else. You know, I think it's just fantastic. I have found though that the screen is a little bit warm. It's warmer compared to the iPhone XS. I don't know why this is, but I can definitely tell that there's a bit of warmth to the display, and I've got all the settings at default and everything. I haven't got the sort of blue light mode on. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, but honestly, unless you're comparing the iPhone XS and the Samsung Galaxy S10 side by side, you don't notice. And I think the warmer display, you know, some people might prefer it. I prefer the iPhone XS color display, but even then, when it comes to watching videos and stuff, you don't end up noticing anyway. Now, my favorite feature of the Samsung Galaxy S10 by far is that ultra wide camera. So there's 3 cameras on the back, and one of them is an ultra wide. And honestly, that ultra wide camera is just incredible. The pictures that you get with it are just fantastic. It really gives a new sort of perspective, a new look to your images. And you know, you don't see many phones with ultra wide cameras. There have been 1 or 2 phones in the past, other ones that have ultra wide cameras, but yeah, the one on the Samsung Galaxy S10 is incredible. Some of the pictures I've been able to take with it are fantastic. It's great for things like interior shots and things where you really just want to get a lot of stuff into the frame. I think the pictures look great, and it really gives a different perspective when it comes to photography. Now, there are a few bad things. I don't like Samsung's own UI on top of what they've done with Android. I'm not a big fan of it. I think I would prefer default Android, mainly because I found when I first launched the phone, when I first booted it, I found Samsung's own icons weren't tack sharp. For some reason, they were just a little bit blurry. I don't know why. Maybe Samsung hasn't got high-res icons for their apps. But yeah, it was quite frustrating. It almost seemed as if when I was looking at the display that something was a bit off, something was a bit blurry. Change resolutions and stuff didn't make a difference. I think it really is down to Samsung's own apps, because other apps from the Play Store and Google's own apps, their icons are completely fine, very sharp, very tack sharp. It's just Samsung's own icons for some reason. Sometimes the UI animations on Android can be a bit janky. I feel like that's the best way to say it. You know, sometimes UI animations don't make sense. Sometimes the back button doesn't make sense. And it is primarily, I think, an issue with Android and maybe Samsung's own UI on top. But I've just found that it isn't as smooth as it could be, considering how powerful the phone is, how much RAM, how much storage. You know, you'd think that the sort of Android UI would be a bit smoother. It's hard to explain, I guess, until you sort of compare iOS, say on the iPhone XS and the Samsung Galaxy S10 side by side. Because I switched from the XS to the S10, I was really able to tell these differences. I guess they're hard to get on camera because, you know, on YouTube, you're only going to see animations at 30 frames per second. But I guess it's not just the frame rate of the animations. I guess it's the way animations work and the way animations work across the actual system, across Android. It's an odd one. But yeah, I just found animations to be janky. That's the best way. That's the best way to say it, really. Having an edge display might look great, and it's a great bit of engineering. However, I found with the Samsung Galaxy S10 that when I'm holding the phone and I'm using it, there have been countless times where there's no touch rejection on the edges. So I'll be scrolling or whatever, and my finger will just about be touching the edge of the display whilst my thumb is scrolling, and the phone will refuse to respond. And it happens randomly, you know, because obviously you hold your phone in various different ways. And I found it just frustrating, to be honest with you, just downright frustrating. And from other people that I've spoken to who've also got this S10, they've experienced exactly the same. I have a number of friends who have bought the S10, 2 or 3 of them actually, and they're all experiencing exactly the same thing. When they're scrolling, when they're doing stuff on their phone, you know, the touch rejection just isn't there. You know, there's been countless number of times where they're doing something, but the phone recognizes the finger doing something else in another part of the screen. So yeah, very frustrating, and hopefully Samsung does a better job of touch rejection, maybe with a software update or something, who knows. But yeah, It's just a frustrating and bad thing about Edge displays. One major problem with Android, and something which has annoyed me with Android since the beginning, is software updates. iOS and iPhone, Apple, they do an incredible job of software updates. They update phones which are still 5-6 years old, and you can get the latest version of iOS, and you get it pretty much on the release day as everyone else. You don't have to wait around or anything. But unless you use a Google Pixel, or you're in the Google Pixel sort of line, if you use a Samsung phone or any other phone from any other manufacturer, you're not going to get the latest Android straight away. You're going to be waiting a couple of months, maybe even a year, and maybe after 2 or 3 years you'll stop getting updates altogether. And that's very frustrating, because obviously those updates have new features, they have security patches, things like that. You want to have the latest version of software so that your phone has the latest features, so that it has all the latest security patches. And yeah, it's just something to do with Android, something to do with this sort of ecosystem. And I guess, hopefully maybe in the future they can do a better job of something like that. But yeah, for now, software updates on Android are a bit of a mess. Because Android apps have to adapt to various different screen sizes, I feel like they don't make the best use of space. And Instagram notifications is a good example of this. So when I compare Instagram notifications on the iPhone XS compared to the S10, you can see that the iPhone XS, there are more notifications, there is more info on the screen compared to the S10. Even though the S10 has a larger display, has a higher density display, and is a taller display, it's a taller phone, you would think you'd be able to fit more on the screen. Unfortunately, Android doesn't make the best use of this space. Now, I wanted to get onto the fingerprint sensor, and the fingerprint sensor isn't good or bad. This is more just my opinion and what I think about it. And I think the fingerprint sensor is a fantastic piece of engineering. Having a fingerprint sensor which is under the screen, which you can't even see, and which very much blends in with the screen, you just can't see it. You can't even tell that it's there until you wake up the phone. I think that's incredible. Very clever piece of design and very well done. However, there are some downsides to this. So when a fingerprint sensor is, say, on the back of a phone or on the front of a phone, on a button or things like that, you can usually feel your way around and find where the fingerprint sensor is. You don't have to look at the phone. You can usually find the ridge of the button or whatever else, whether it be on the front or whether it be on the back or whether it even be on the side. You can tell where the fingerprint sensor is by feeling around. However, on a phone like this, because the fingerprint sensor is in the middle of the screen and there's no sort of tactile way to tell where it is, it's very difficult to actually land your thumb in the right place every single time when it comes to unlocking the phone. I personally think this is a big user experience issue, because the whole point of a fingerprint sensor is to be able to unlock your phone quickly without really having to look at your phone. You want to be able to unlock your phone and just get going. But if you don't really know where to place your thumb, you sort of have to guess. It doesn't make it all that fast. I've also found the ultrasonic sensor not to be the fastest out there. It's not slow by any means. It's not anything that's crazy slow, that's noticeably slow. But there are fingerprint sensors out there which are even faster. Even the S10e, which has the fingerprint sensor in the sleep wake button, is faster than the fingerprint sensor in this. And yeah, I guess it's just one of those things. It is very much, I guess it's not an emerging technology, but it's a new way of implementing that technology. And over time, hopefully it will get faster. Over time, hopefully it will get better. Because I also do sometimes have the issue of it not recognizing my thumb. I have to really line it up quite perfectly to get it to unlock. But I still really, really like it. I still really think it's a clever way to unlock your phone without having to basically point your phone up at your face using things like Face ID or face recognition or something like that. And yeah, I think it looks cleaner as well. It looks really classy, it looks clean. I think it looks incredible, and I think it's a very good piece of engineering. I just hope over time it can be faster, it can be more reliable, and maybe even somewhere or another come up with some sort of tactile way to be able to tell where the fingerprint sensor is. So yeah, great piece of technology. Hopefully it can just get better with time. Now, I guess the big question is, will I be sticking with the S10? And the answer is no. And there are a few reasons why. And those reasons being, I'm very much tied into the Apple ecosystem. So I have an Apple Watch which I use all the time, and it's by far my favorite product from last year. I use it all the time. I use it every day. I use it at the gym, use it for listening to music, use it for Siri, for just everything. Use it to read messages, all that sort of stuff. You can't use an Apple Watch with Android. There's also the fact that I use MacBooks, I use iMacs and things like that. And just everything is so much more intertwined. Same with iMessage, you know, I'm on iMessage and I use iMessage to message friends and stuff like that, friends and family. And, you know, I'm really tied into the ecosystem. However, that doesn't take away from the fact that the S10 is an incredible phone. It is a fantastic phone. If you're not tied into the Apple ecosystem, I definitely say the Samsung Galaxy S10 is a fantastic choice. You know, if you don't have an Apple Watch, if you don't have a MacBook, if you don't have things like that, if you're not using iMessage, this really is a fantastic choice, and is significantly cheaper compared to the iPhone XS. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for more.